Welcome to this episode of the Sports Detective Podcast Show. My name is James Williams, and today we discuss the Oakland A's moving to Las Vegas. Are they wanted there? Why are we talking about this? Well, it's obviously Super Bowl week. I'm not sure when this show will be published, but just know that's when we're recording. And Front Office Sports did a podcast with the Las Vegas mayor, and this is a newly elected mayor, by the way. And the Las Vegas mayor was asked basically about like the A's and coming to Las Vegas and kind of what that means for the city. And she basically said that I don't think it's best if they move here, which is kind of a shock for people that have maybe haven't been following the story that much. But we'll kind of get into like why this situation of the A's moving to Las Vegas is a little bit trickier than maybe people might think. But we'll go ahead and play this clip here from the mayor on this podcast, and then we'll talk about all of this stuff afterwards. So go ahead and play it here again for an Office Sports.
We
Here
have
you go.
a very large complex, probably about 60 acres. We probably could cobble together more land so they could possibly have 100 acres. And it's in the historic old part of town, which is where all major interstate highways come together. We have 7 access points to it. It is in an opportunity zone. There are all these benefits. And so when they said no, I thought, this doesn't make sense. And so why is it happening? And then I thought, well, because they really want to stay in Oakland. They want to be on the water. They have that magnificent dream, and yet they can't get it.
Would it be a good thing if the A's do in fact move to the Tropicana?
I personally, I'm not talking about anybody else, anywhere else in this community. I personally think they've got to figure out a way to stay in Oakland to make their dream come true. We have very large.
Okay, so a little bit of context there for what she just said. So to the point of the A's wanting to stay in Oakland. I'm not sure if that's true. I could be wrong. I'm not sure if that's true because they have, they put in a petition to, Major League Baseball to get relocated, and they're pretty far along in the process. There's a lot of like the ball has moved pretty far down the road here. So I'm not sure if it's the case that this is all just a ploy to stay in Oakland. With that being said, though, to add more context to what they're saying, there's basically what she was mentioning there at the beginning was, I guess, like, again, I don't know this exact part of the story, but the city of Las Vegas, maybe combined with the state of Nevada, was willing to give the A's like this big giant plot of land, I guess. And I guess the A's apparently said, no, we want to buy this area that is on the Las Vegas Strip that is like significantly smaller. Because the area that they are buying on the Las Vegas Strip, the Tropicana Casino that they mentioned in that video, that area is only 9 acres. It's 9 acres compared to like what they said was like 100 or 100 or what else did she say? Like 60. So it's significantly smaller. Just to put that in a little bit of perspective, they're planning, if they're going to build this stadium, they're going to have a retractable roof. The smallest area out of any MLB stadium that has a retractable roof, and their plot is the Brewers that has 11.7 acres of land for their plot for their field and their retractable roof. So that's like almost 3 acres smaller, to which, put into a perspective for you guys here, that's basically a football field and a half, because about 2 acres is what a football field is. So that is a significantly smaller region here. Now, just to kind of like tie this all together, because this move, and we talked about this a few weeks ago on the podcast, and part of the reason I'm doing this video now is we've actually had a decent amount of like, it was a video that I just did because I was interested. It wasn't necessarily something I was expecting a lot of people to respond to, but a lot of people have been leaving comments, liking the video. We've gotten a few subscribers from that video, so I figured we'll talk about it again, because this move to Las Vegas, it's either like just going to be a disaster, or it's just going to be a complete mess, or it's going to be a combination of both. Or the third option here, which is what the mayor's pointing out, is that this might actually not even be a realistic move for them at all. So I'll go through a little bit of this stuff. We just talked about how small of an acre or acreage and area that they have. Here's the other thing. Here's basically the money point when it comes to this move. So the whole project for the A's to move from Oakland to Las Vegas, buy this plot of land and build their stadium, it's going to cost about $1.5 billion. No, that's an estimate. It seems like a lot of these projects. Now, again, I'm not a project expert when it comes to building stadiums, but it just seems like a lot of times these things just always go like over budget. So that's an estimate of 1.5 billion. That could be 1.8 billion. That could be 2 billion. Um, with that being said, the state of Nevada has said that they would, I think they said that they would help the A's and donate like $380 million of public money. So the A's would still have to come up with like $1.2 billion at least, or maybe $1.1 billion at least of money to help, fund this project. Now you could be like, oh, well, their owner is a billionaire and he owns a professional baseball team. He should have that much money. Now, I want to put this in perspective for a lot of people because I think a lot of people don't necessarily now I'm not trying to be like, hey, owners are poor or whatever, and we should feel sorry for owners. But there are some owners that have like a lot of equity and a lot of liquid money, and there's others that don't. The A's owner is a person that does not have a lot of money. His net worth, I think, is like 2.9 billion, and I think most of that is tied up with him owning a Major League Baseball team. So for him to just he can't. I don't think he can write. I could be wrong. But I don't think he can write like a $1.2 billion check. So that right there, that is like very interesting. So would he sell off some of the team or something like that to help fund the thing? Would he have to find like these, third party corporate, entities to help fund it? There's kind of a lot of unanswered questions with that of just how they're going to fund the stadium. But again, too, just to kind of get back to like the actual idea of the stadium and getting people to come to the stadium, because that's important. Because if you build a new stadium in a new city, you want people to come because you need, especially when you're a team that doesn't have much money, doesn't like to spend money, and needs help funding the stadium. So their plan right now is to have a 30,000 seat baseball stadium, which would be the smallest in the MLB. They would be moving to the smallest market in the MLB, which would mean that they probably wouldn't get like the best TV deal, because that's where a lot of these baseball teams get a lot of their money, is from their local TV deals. That's why the Yankees always are able to get sign whatever players they want. It's because they have like a massive TV deal. The bigger market you're in, more than likely the bigger kind of TV deal that you have. And if the A's are moving from the Bay Area, which has like a population of like 8 million people, to Las Vegas that has like a population of 2 million people, it's significantly worse, But and you could say, well, the Giants help take up a big chunk of that Bay Area too. You're right. But if you even say that you give like the Giants like 2/3 of that Bay Area that support them, 1/3 of the Bay Area is still significantly more than what the area and the population of Las Vegas is. So you're moving to a smaller market. You're moving into the smallest market in the MLB. And basically, this is their plan, guys. This is a thing that they have presented publicly, that the A's have presented publicly, of how they're going to like get money for their stadium and how they're like projecting their profits out, to keep up with other MLB teams, basically. So they want an average attendance of 27,000 per game. Okay. That is 90% of stadium capacity. In 2023, there were only 2 teams that had over 90% capacity for their stadium. Only 2 teams. They were the Boston Red Sox, that play in a relatively smaller ballpark and have over 100 plus years of history, and the Houston Astros, which probably have one of the more successful last 7-8 years of being a professional franchise, and they made a pretty big playoff run last year. Don't worry though, this is their plan. This is part of their plan that the ownership group is saying that they're going to do for this. So it's like, oh, it's okay. We understand that 90% is like a big barometer. 27,000 people is a lot of people. We're expecting 30% of those attendance, just a third of it, to be from tourists. You do the math on that. That is 8,000 tourists per game. 8,000 tourists per game. And to put that in a little bit more perspective, that's 8% of Las Vegas's daily tourists. 8%. They're expecting to pull 8% of daily tourists to come to A's games. Now, the A's, too, guys, if you haven't been paying attention, are one of the worst, at least last year. I think they were the worst team in the MLB. They're giving rid of every single asset. They're trying to save every single dollar. They had like perennially, it seemed like 8 people in the stands. It wasn't 8. It was more like 3,000, which was like abysmal and absolutely gross with the little amount of fans that actually went to support them in Oakland. And they're basically going to have like a 3-year period here before they actually the plan is to have the stadium built. They have a 3-year gap here. And if they're going to suck for 3 years, why would local people in Las Vegas want to go and watch this team in person? And 2, why would people, with all of the different things of a tourist destination like Las Vegas, why would, out of all the things that you can do there, they would want to go and watch the A's get like the crap kicked out of them? Now, you could say maybe there's a thing where like, well, visiting teams will want to like, their fans will want to come and they'll visit them. But again, you're saying like a 3-game series in Las Vegas or something, like you're saying like 24,000 like attendance from that in like a 3-game series or something for every single team of tourists. Like that just sounds crazy. That sounds absurd. To give a little bit more of a context for this, the last team that we saw, relocate, make a drastic relocation in MLB was the Montreal Expos that became the Washington Nationals. And they had to find a home before they moved into their ballpark in DC. They had have a temporary home. Their temporary home was like relatively like close in the DC area, and they were there from 05 to 07. And in 08, when they finally moved into the new ballpark, they were 20th in attendance. They were 20th in MLB attendance. And I think they were significantly in a better spot in a franchise there than the A's are now. And they weren't relying on tourists. They weren't relying on the smallest market in the MLB. It just seems like an absolute mess. And we talked about the fact that they had like they don't even know where they're playing. Like this is gonna be the hypothetically or supposedly this is gonna be the last year on their lease, is gonna be 2024. And sorry, I had the years messed up. So 2024 would be the last year on their lease in Oakland, and they have to find a home. They don't know where they're playing in 2025. They have no idea. They have maybe somewhat of an idea. Apparently, one of their minor league affiliates is in Nevada, so I've heard that as a proposed location. But the last video that we did about this A's story was that the ownerships were looking at Sacramento, and they were looking at Salt Lake City for them to potentially go to. So this just seems like an absolute mess and disaster. It seems like they don't know where they're going to fund this project. They don't know, the idea of them being successful financially in Las Vegas just seems like very meager and like very small at this point. Could be wrong. They could prove us wrong. But right now we're looking at John Fisher, who, despite, his unwillingness to spend as an owner, this just seems like an absolute disaster. And we'll see. Maybe they might not move. That's also a theory here. They just might not move. So, or they might move to a place that's not Las Vegas, even though the Las Vegas thing, the ball seems very much rolling for that. So there you have it, guys. That's basically kind of the updates on the story. I did a little bit of a deeper dive than we did in the last video about this, but thank you very much for watching. If you got to this point, if you like this video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It really helps us support the show. We've been doing the show for over 3 years now, entering our 4th year, and it used to be just a strictly audio show, but now over the last 2 months, we've started posting videos like this onto YouTube. I usually do a lot more like long form interviews with people that cover different sports all over the country. And we are going to start getting back to those in a little bit, but I kind of want to get into a rhythm doing more kind of solo videos like this. So again, if you like this video, please hit subscribe. Please hit that like button. It helps us out tremendously in the algorithm. So thank you very much for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.